The Padres just will not stop. They made yet another trade, and it makes me think, what is the rest of the league doing? How come the Padres are making the best trades? Because if we take a look at this tweet right here from my boy Danny over on Twitter, the Padres rank 15th in operating income, and they have the 29th biggest TV market in all of Major League Baseball. They've traded for Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, Mike Clevenger, and Joe Musgrove. The Indians, my favorite team, they rank 16th in operating income and have the 19th biggest TV market. They've traded Francisco Lindor and Carlos Carrasco. So this just goes to show you that the owners of the Cleveland Indians are completely cheap, and the Padres are taking advantage of how many years they were so bad, because let's face it, the Padres, they were not a good team for a long amount of time, so they're able to flip all of their prospects into Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, Mike Clevenger, Joe Musgrove. They gave a ton of money to Manny Machado, Eric Hosmer, Will Myers. They're going to give a lot to Fernando Tatis Jr. So the Padres, they're showing the Indians how it's done, and honestly, the Dolan brothers, one of them owns the Knicks, one of them owns the Indians. Kind of makes sense because the Knicks suck and the Indians are one of the worst run franchises in terms of keeping superstars in all of Major League Baseball history. So, all right, let's stop talking about my team. We'll focus on the Padres and the fact that they just picked up an amazing pitcher. What's going on, everyone? It's Fuzzy. Welcome to the second upload of today's video. In the first video from earlier today, we talked about how Luis Castillo was possibly going to get traded for Gleyber Torres, and everyone in the comment section down below pretty much said, yo, that would never happen. Gleyber Torres is far too good of a player and too young to trade for Castillo. I'm thinking a lot of you don't understand how good Luis Castillo is, but anyways, that's a different story for a different day because we already talked about it. What we're going to do is we're going to break down the full Joe Musgrove trade, because a lot of people might undervalue Joe Musgrove. He was the best pitcher on the Pirates just this past season, and maybe you could make an argument that 2020 it was only 11 starts or 12 starts, whatever he was able to get under his belt. It doesn't really count, but in my opinion, Joe Musgrove over the last 2.5, 3 years, very underrated. So the full return, Joe Musgrove is going to the Padres. Joey Lacasey, I used to call him Joey Lasagna just because I didn't know how to pronounce his last name, but Joey Lacasey, a former top prospect from the Padres, he's actually going to the Mets, and then the Pirates, in return from the Padres for Joe Musgrove, the Pirates are getting back Hudson Head, David Bednar, Omar Cruz, and Drake Fellow. So this is actually a 3-team trade, and the one thing I have to add before we get into the actual breakdown is do not be this guy. So I put out a tweet saying that Joe Musgrove is a solid 4 or 5 starter. On most teams, he would be a number 2 or a number 3, but because the Padres already have Dinelson Lamet, Blake Snell, Darvish, Paddock, I mean, I would say Joe Musgrove is a very solid 4 or 5. And then this fella comes in and says that Blake Snell is the actual number 4. Do not be this dumb. I'm not trying to put him on blast, but I had to really just don't be that guy. Anyways, so if we're talking about Joe Musgrove, a lot of people might not know who he is. The last couple seasons, he actually ranks 28th in FIP. If you don't remember, FIP is fielding independent of pitching, and 36th in xFIP. So technically speaking, if we take a look at FIP, Joe Musgrove is a top 30 pitcher in Major League Baseball, and his sinker and slider both rank among the best in the entire game. So the Padres are making sure that if they make a deep playoff push, they're gonna have guys like Joe Musgrove and Chris Paddock, and maybe they call it Mackenzie Gore as their 4, 5, and 6 starters, because that is the number one thing that I can say is a determinant of winning a World Series. The Dodgers just showed that. They could start Gonsolin, they could start Urias, they could start Gratterall, they could start so many different guys, Dustin May as a 5 or 6 starter, and give one of their main aces or one of their main starting pitchers a day off. And this is exactly that. The Padres are securing depth, and Joe Musgrove, if we take a look at his baseball savant, you want to see red. And he was one of the best pitchers at getting in the red, up in the top 70 to 90 percentiles of Major League Baseball starting pitchers. He is going to be a fantastic pickup. The Yankees were actually in discussion to try and pick up this guy, but a lot of Yankees fans were very wary because he doesn't throw hard. He gets anywhere, his fastball is anywhere from 89 to 93 miles an hour, so he is no Garrett Cole. But just like what happened to Garrett Cole, he left the Pirates and he got better. Tyler Glasnow, he left the Pirates and got better. So there's something about the pitching regimen in Pittsburgh where they're not getting up to their ceiling, and then as soon as they leave, they explode, actually reach the ceiling and the potential that everyone thought that they were going to reach. So something to keep in mind. The Padres are pretty good at developing pitchers. Joe Musgrove is going to get even better. So let's say his FIP is in the top 20. that is going to be an amazing pickup. And they didn't really have to give up too much. Joey Lacasey, a lot of people, especially if you play MLB The Show, this name is familiar because he used to have a prospect card. He was supposed to be amazing, but so far through his career, in just about 300 professional innings, he has a 4.21 ERA. And then for all of my advanced guys, he has a 4.21 FIP. If you're above a 4, you're you're pretty much below average in terms of being a professional major league pitcher. So he's going to the New York Mets. Maybe they use him as a long reliever because they do need a lefty bullpen piece. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to get back Justin Wilson. I mean, he was pretty solid for them. I would say you have Lacasey, go get Justin Wilson. I'd say that's a pretty good, 1-2 lefty punch coming out the bullpen because Lacasey, in my opinion, I don't think he's not going to be a major league starter. He kind of reminds me of Andrew Miller. Watch out because he does have nasty stuff. Endy Rodriguez is going from the Mets to the Padres. He's a 20-year-old catcher from the Dominican Republic. He's posted an 840 OPS in rookie ball. So the Padres are trying to get some youth at their catching spot because they traded away Francisco Mejia. And, a small thing to note, Endy Rodriguez is a switch hitting catcher. So if he pans out, the Padres might have a little sneaky pick in that guy. Going from the Padres to the Pirates, so this is kind of the Joe Musgrove side of the trade. Hudson Head, he is a 19-year-old outfielder. He is the Padres' number 7 prospect. He has a 6'1" frame with insane tools. I say that because he has a 60 grade running and also 50 power. So he is labeled as a 5-tool talent. So if the Pirates can get the most out of Hudson Head, he is really going to be something special. He's a lefty bat. He runs quick. He's got a really good arm. He can field his position. I love him. And also just the name, Hudson Head, one of my favorite names in all of baseball. Next up, we have Omar Cruz. He is the Padres' number 17 prospect. It says that he has a great curveball and control, but he doesn't throw too hard. He can get anywhere from 90 to low 90s on a good day. Next up, we have David Bednar, the Padres' number 20 prospect. He is a right-handed pitcher with a nice fastball. He's a little bit older. He is 26 years old, so he's been in the system for quite some time. And then last but not least, Drake Fellows. He's 6'5". He has easy velocity, but with that easy velocity, so it looks like he's not throwing very hard, and it comes in at about 92 to 94 miles an hour. So again, he's not going to be the next Garrett Cole or anything like that. And he also needs to work on his mechanics because I was looking at the top 30 prospects from the Padres, and he was not in there, so he ranks just outside that. But overall, I would say that both teams, or all 3 teams, kind of got pieces that they needed. The Mets, they needed a left-handed pitcher, whether he's in the bullpen or a starting pitcher. Maybe he can work out some of the kinks, especially you have DeGrom and Syndergaard and Stroman and all the other guys. Cookie, Carlos Carrasco, maybe they can fix him. Maybe they see something that he's doing wrong. Maybe it's his front toe. Maybe he's not releasing at the right time. They have a lot of big names around him to hopefully fix his mechanics and be the top prospect that he was supposed to be. And then you have Endy Rodriguez going to the Padres. So that was the Padres and the Mets trade. Lacasey for Rodriguez. And then you have Joe Musgrove going to the Padres to be a 4 or 5 starter. Again, Musgrove in pretty much every other rotation would be a 2 or 3, but because of the studs that the Padres have already traded for, that's not going to happen. And then in return, the Pirates are getting Hudson Head, Omar Cruz, David Bednar, and Drake Fellows. In all honesty, if Hudson Head does not pan out, this is going to be a fat L because Joe Musgrove, he's someone that you can kind of build around. He's pretty much the ace of that staff. So if you technically think about it, Blake Snell was the ace of the race because Charlie Morton left. So they got 1 ace, 2 aces in Yu Darvish, and 3 aces of a franchise in the span of about a month. So hats off to the Padres. Again, they're 29th in terms of television money, yet they're spending gobs of it, and they're trading for all the best pieces because they're good at drafting. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope that you did enjoy. I know today was a little bit more in-depth, a whole lot less, funny, but sometimes we have to be serious because there was a lot of moving pieces. Whew. All right, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my night. I'm going to go watch Revenge of the Sith. I'll catch y'all later. Peace out.